Alright, welcome back to Fantasy Football with Amateurs. And this is going to be the last ranking video we're going to do. And it's just going to be about overall rankings. So obviously, same strategy as before. I'm just going to have it set up so I have all the categories to choose from. In this case, it's going to be quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, and tight ends. You can't see the tight end, it's behind my camera, but obviously it's tight ends there. I'm just going to pick the top four for each, which one I want to put. And this is basically going to be the order I would pick in my draft. Now, this is a slightly different rankings because it isn't going to be rankings by how I think they'll score points until the end of the season. It's partly based on points. It's also partly based on drafting strategy and also partly based on use they'll get. But generally, the plan is to make the rankings list. And I should be able to go top from bottom, whoever's available at each draft pick. So if I start the list off, so it's Mahomes or Adams or McCaffrey or Kelsey. If I had the pick, I would want Adams. He, as I keep saying, he's like obviously the top wide receiver. He scored more points than McCaffrey last season, so I'd rather have him over McCaffrey. And, well, technically also got the number 10 pick, so I don't think I'd get McCaffrey anyway, but even if I had the number 1, I'd take Adams. Just because I think he'd be a lot more use. If McCaffrey goes uninjured again, he's going to miss a lot of time like last time. So that's my first controversial pick. But the number 2 is McCaffrey. If it comes to it, and he's there and Adams isn't, I'll take him. But that's not going to happen anyway. But yeah, so then we'll go Dalvin Cook, then Derrick Henry, then Tyreek Hill, then I go Travis Kelce next on my targets. Now this is where it gets real strange. It follows Travis Kelce's Kittle, and this is actually because my strategy is after the first round, when hopefully I'll get Adams. The next couple of rounds, I'm just going to load up on tight ends. So next on my list to target is Darren Waller, and then next is going to be Kyle Pitts. So the plan is after round 4, I should have 3 of the top 4 possible tight ends. And the plan here is just to completely wipe out tight end position for anyone else in the league. And that just gives me advantage in every matchup where my tight end slot, and possibly if I've got multiple in the flex as well, should just outscore them. And then back to normal. So then number 10 is Chubb. If I keep going, I have Aaron Jones. I'll go for Diggs over Kamara, and also go for Jefferson over Kamara. As I said before, I'm worried about how we're doing the Saints this year, but I'll pick him over Ridley. But I'll pick Ridley over Austin Eckler. Now I've got a choice of Mahomes, Metcalf, Hockenson, and Eckler. So I'll go with Eckler here. Then I'll go with Zeke. Looking at all the list, I'll go with Mixon, because still these running backs offer more points value to me than Mahomes does. Sure, Mahomes might score more points, but the difference between Mahomes' points and, say, Jackson's points isn't going to be as much as, say, these running backs compared to the next round running backs. So like Hunt, Harris, Taylor. Well, people wouldn't consider them next round running backs, but the next round for me. Next, I'll go for Metcalf. Then I'll take Mahomes down here. I think he's worth more to me now than D-Hop, than Hockenson, than Barkley. But then back to wide receiver, I'll take Hopkins. Then I'll go for Hockenson, because he is obviously going to be a target monster this year at Detroit. Back to CD Lamb. Then I'll take Saquon. He shouldn't be here at this point, but if he's still here, well, with everyone else gone, I'll take him. I've expressed my concerns about the Giants this year, anyway. Next, Lamar Jackson. Then Jalen Waddle, Dak, Mike Davis, Raheem Mostert. I've done an error there. I'm going to be one short on the numbers. But then Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, CEH, Kyler Murray. That's the first 33 picks. This one out. Obviously now, Rodgers versus Kareem versus Goddard versus Green. I'm going to go with Rodgers. And then I'll go with Kareem Hunt. Then I'll go with Jonathan Taylor. Then Najee Harris. Now it's Josh Allen, Damien Harris, or Green or Goddard. I'm going to go with Josh Allen. I think he's got more points value than any other 3. Next will be AJ Green. A lot of people are going to see this as quite a reach. He won't go at number 38 off draft boards anywhere near, so I'll probably guarantee someone's getting his pick. But I'm predicting him to be a bit of a sleeper, so I'll happily take that. Then we'll go for Damian Harris. Now we've got AJ Brown, the Titans. So now we're down to Herbert versus Amari Cooper versus Goddard versus Sermon. And then we'll go with Cooper. Following that, Jamar Chase. Then Trey Sermon, Justin Herbert, James Robinson, Myles Gaskin, Dallas Goddard, and then Russell Wilson. So now here we are to the second half of the QBs. Also got Joe Burrow up next. Or do I want Darrell Henderson, Mike Gesicki for tight end, and I got Moore at wide receiver for Panthers. So I'm going to put Moore in first. Next up on receivers is Mike Evans, so I'll have him. Next up is Claypool. Not a massive fan of the Steelers wide receivers, so I'm going back to running backs with Darrell Henderson. And then David Montgomery. I'll switch up and get Joe Burrow next, and then Jalen Hurts. I think it's about time they'll get more points than, say, Chris Carson. But then Chris Carson I'll put in next, followed by Gibson. So next up then, now I'll put in Chase Claypool, follow that by Matt Ryan, DeAndre Swift, Robert Woods, Marvin Jones, Brandon Ayuk, Gus Edwards, Tom Brady. So now we get to 65, 66 technically. So do I want Tua, do I want Zach Moss, do I want Gesicki, do I want McLaurin? Zach Moss I don't really want too much. Gesicki, I might take him, I'm not sure. As I've said before, he's a good tight end, but there's a lot of targets. But I'm going to go with McLaurin. So then next up, Allen Robinson, so I'll take him. Then Devonta Smith, I'll go with Tua instead, then back to Smith. Randall Cobb next up on the receivers. So now at the point where we've got Justin Fields, obviously backup quarterback. Randall Cobb, second string wide receiver. Gesicki or Zach Moss. So I'll go with Gesicki. Now Logan Thomas is up, and I'll take him as well. Next is Zach Ertz. Obviously they've got some issues with that, so I'll take Zach Moss now. Then I'll take Jamal Williams. Now I'll go back to Zach Ertz. Hunter Henry. I don't want as much as some others, so I'll go with Miles Sanders, sorry. Next is Justin Fields. Randall Cobb, so that's Golladay or Tannehill. I'll have Golladay, Chase Edmonds, Ryan Tannehill, and Baker Mayfield. Let's go past 80. So I've got Matt Stafford, Godwin or Dillon or Henry. So I'm going to go Chris Godwin. Then Jacoby Myers, Sammy Watkins. And then I'll go back to tight ends and have Hunter Henry. Then for quarterbacks, I'll take Matt Stafford. And then Trevor Lawrence as well. And then I'm going to take Jared Cook for the Chargers and Mark Andrews for Baltimore. Leave me up to the 90s. So now I'm looking at Trey Lance against Dillon, against Tonyan, against Anderson. Obviously, Lance is a backup who I wouldn't value as getting as much starting power as others. Dillon's the second string. He's got a lot of upside potential and he should get some more snaps. Tonyan as well is there. I can't take all the Green Bay at once. But Tonyan should have, if he's got a similar season to the last one, be good. Robbie Anderson should do a lot better at Panthers this year. So I'll pick AJ Dillon to start with. Then I'll go Robbie Anderson. Got Bernard and Parker available. I'll take Parker. Now Julio Jones is there, so I'm going to take Julio Jones. Next up on the receivers is Jarvis Landry. I'll take. Then Antonio Brown. I don't fancy Antonio Brown yet, so I'll go with Tonyan. That leaves Hayden Hurst, so I'm going to go with Trey Lance. And then I'll just go straight with Fitzpatrick because he is a starter quarterback. Now I've got Big Ben, Bernard, Hurst or Brown. I'll go with Bernard. And then Jacobs under running back. I'll take him as well. Ronald Jones. I don't really want Ronald Jones just yet, but compared to the other three, I'll take him. Then I've got Gorman, who's definitely a backup. So now I have to consider one of the other three. I'll take Hunter Hurst, who is half a backup. Gronk, though, I'm unsure about. I'll take Antonio Brown. Now it's kind of Ruggs against Big Ben. I'll take Ruggs. Then it's Marquise Brown. So now I'm going to take Big Ben. Zach Wilson as well. I'll just take him straight away. Obviously now pick 106. Go with Mac Jones. Leaves me with Sam Darnold at quarterbacks. I'm not the best fan of Darnold, as I've said. Goldman's a backup. Gronk or Marquise Brown, so I should go with Brown. Emmanuel Sanders, yep, I'll take him. Next up's Phelan, I'll go for him. Tyler Boyd, yep. Deontay Johnson, yep, I'll put him in. Laviska Shenault, yep. Corey Davis, he'll go in. Now I'm just having a receiver run because I like all these receivers I know to get on the field, unlike Gorman, and like to have more impacts than Gronk and than Darnold. So T. Higgins, then Michael Gallup. But take Gronk first. Gallup let me down last year. And then after Gallup, Mike Williams. Then we have Deebo Samuel, Elijah Moore. I'll take Gorman now over Fuller because Fuller does miss a game. And I am worried about targets over at the Dolphins. Now I take Darnold because I don't really fancy Leonard Fournette. Croft obviously hasn't been proven as a starter yet. And I've got Will Fuller missing that game. And then we've got Jared Goff, who I don't really want, but he's on the list. So I'll take Will Fuller now. Then Juju Smith-Schuster's now there, so I'll take him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he is the top receiver for the Lions. I'll take him. Michael Pittman Jr., I'll take Leonard Fournette instead. And then I'll take Michael Pittman. Don't want Jerry Jeudy or Kenyon Drake, go with Jeudy. Then I've got Aguilar's there, so I'll take him. Tyler Lockett, I'd rather have Drake than Tyler Lockett, but I'll pick Croft. He's more likely to actually start than Drake, and Lockett's the up and down. Now I'm just organising the final end bit at the back. So Goff, Lockett, Smith or Drake, I'll go with Drake. James Conner's there, I'll go with Lockett next. He leaves Beasley, so now I'll go with James Conner. Singletary's there, I don't really want Singletary, so I'm going to go Jonnu Smith. Furska's there, he's my lowest down tight end. So now I'll pick Goff, and then I've got Beasley, Furska or Singletary. I'll go with Beasley because he will actually be on the field. Then I'll go with Jameson Crowder, who he left. I'll go with Furska next. No, I won't. I'll go with Singletary. Leaves me with Williams, Furska and Gray. Williams is definitely a backup, so I'll go with Furska. But Gray's even more of a backup, so I'll go with Williams than Gray. So that's my 140 list. Last minute pre-draft rankings. But it isn't an overall ranking. That's something I'll probably do prior to the start of the season, but after the draft. But this is more like my draft rankings. So points-wise, it isn't relevant because obviously I've got the strategy in there, as I said, taking on the tight ends. So hopefully if you're drafting late like me, that's been useful to see how someone like me works. And either you can take some info on board, or if you've got someone like me in your league, you know what he's going to do, and you can just go laugh at him and take all his picks for you. So yeah, that's it. I'll do one more video where I'm going to actually stick this in the sleeper, stick this in the queue, and then see what team I come out with. So I'll pop that up in a minute. So thanks for watching, and see you in a bit.